Since the beginning of time, people have been trying to get from point A to point B in the fastest, laziest way possible, and automobiles have allowed people to achieve these goals. Turning back the clock to 1885, when Carl Benz made the very first car using gasoline. The number of people who own cars has significantly increased, as the primary form of transportation back then was through train, which used a steam engine powered by water and coal. The invention of the car has allowed us to travel from place to place, but this is where our problem begins. Majority of cars use gasoline, which produces carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. The average person produces 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year, which is equivalent of CO2 emissions from 586,557 smartphones being charged. An increase in carbon dioxide causes the Earth's atmosphere to thicken, and due to this thickening, sunlight/heat energy that enters the Earth is trapped between layers, causing the Earth to warm up, resulting in climate problems that we see many scientists talk about today, like melting polar ice caps and rising sea levels. This is where the role of hybrid cars comes into play. Hybrid cars offer a step in the right direction towards preventing carbon concentrations in the atmosphere from reaching a critical point of no return. Hybrid cars operate on both electricity and gasoline, and there are pros and cons when it comes to deciding if you should buy a hybrid car. In this video, we will look over 3 pros and cons of hybrid cars. Looking at the pros, the very first pro is that hybrid cars have less CO2 emission rates due to using electricity and gas. Electricity does not emit carbon dioxide because there is no combustion reaction occurring in the battery part of the car. The second pro is that they are less dependent on gas, and a hybrid car owner doesn't have to spend as much money on gas. Electric chargers are cheaper than gas, and their numbers are starting to spread throughout the nation, making it a viable option for many people. Finally, regenerative braking is a key factor in electric/hybrid cars because it allows the kinetic energy from the car to be turned into stored potential energy in the car's battery whenever the car is braked. So you basically charge your car as you're driving, which provides more mileage. Despite all these benefits, there are also cons that come along with hybrid cars. The very first one we're going to be talking about today is a major factor that people might want to consider when they're buying a hybrid car is performance. Hybrid cars are built for the economy and not for speed, nor can they travel for long distance like regular cars can. This is because hybrid cars require frequent charging. Another issue is price. Hybrid cars are more expensive than regular cars, ranging about $13,000 more. This might be out of the price range for many potential buyers, and even with the tax incentive, which goes up around $7,000, that the government provides for these eco-friendly cars, hybrid cars can still be pretty expensive. Finally, maintenance is an issue that concerns hybrid cars. Hybrid vehicles generally cost more to repair, and not all mechanics have the equipment and know how to fix them properly. You might ask why we don't just switch over to all electric cars like Teslas, but this might have a more harmful impact than normal gas-powered cars, because although total electric cars are beneficial for the environment in the way that they don't release any carbon dioxide in the air, the processes of obtaining the lithium for the batteries is a dangerous task, and it's very bad for the environment because you're mining harmful elements that can go into the air and pollute water supplies and the surrounding area. Companies like Tesla has built a gigafactory in Nevada where they mass produce these electric cars, and a debate that people might bring up is that when talking about hybrid and electric cars is that these cars don't provide any benefit for the environment due to the emissions released during vehicle production. And a study found that the production of these cars has a higher CO2 emission rate due to the battery production. Looking at the percentages, they range from 15% to all the way up to 70% based off the size of the battery. So the Nissan hybrid car batteries have a smaller, so they don't use as much percentages, but something like a Tesla battery, which has a large battery, can take up a lot of CO2 emissions. looking at the carbon emissions from electric cars and gas-powered cars at the same baseline, and then adding up from that point. Hybrid cars gain more CO2 due to battery production. The U.S. Department of Energy surmises that the CO2 emissions are generally 5.2 metric tons per year for the gasoline-powered cars. And so we can calculate the amount of time for hybrid/electric car to be more ecological than gas cars using the equation of production times the annual times the time for the gas, and setting that equal to the same for the electric hybrid, and then solving for T, and then using the data from the U.S. Department of Transportation, we can tell that in the long run, hybrid cars and electric cars provide less emissions. Moving forward to a more eco-friendly form of transportation would be a shift to buses or solar-powered cars. If more people use public transportation, then there would be a decrease in the amount of CO2 production, since there would be less cars on the road. And you and an individual can help out by taking public transportation to help the environment. And that's it. That's all we have for today's video. Thank you for watching.
You so precious when you smile. Yeah. Hit it from the back and drive you wild. Girl, I lose myself up in those eyes.